Hey, it's Jay. Welcome to my channel. For this video, I wanted to do something really simple, so it's basically just gonna be me yapping about whatever while this piece of Karasuma Sensei from Assassination Classroom I did plays in the background. So, if you just need something to listen to while you draw, this is the video. So, let's get right into it. Okay, so for those of you who don't know who Kurasuma is, he is a character from an anime called Assassination Classroom. The whole plot of the anime is basically like there's this alien that like blasted a big chunk of the moon off, and it's up to these high school kids to assassinate him. Assassination Classroom was actually one of the first animes that I really got into. I remember watching the whole series on YouTube. Okay, so do any of you know how watching anime on YouTube was like back then? Where you had like the big background and then the actual show's like in a tiny little square on like the corner of the screen? That's how I watched it. Kurasuma is actually not my favorite character from the show. I'd say my favorite character was Nagisa, which is basically the main character of the entire show. The reason I decided to draw Kurasuma was because I just woke up one day and I was like, I gotta draw a big, strong, muscly guy right now. Because I actually did draw this in your style contest on Instagram. Check out my Instagram or my TikToks and you'll see the whole piece. But I did that and it was like this really girly character, and I don't know what came over me. I was like, that's too girly. I gotta draw some buff manly person to balance it out. My thoughts on Kurasuma as a character, I really liked him. I really enjoyed him. He was very cool. Oh, I remember this one episode where this new teacher came in to teach the students how to assassinate the alien, and he was so scary because he like kind of abused his past students, and you find out like later in the episode where you see like a picture of him smiling and his past students are all like bruised, and that just like scarred me. I was so scared of that guy from then on. I was like, I don't like this guy. I don't like him. Get him out of here. And it was just like so funny. But eventually, at the end of the episode, Nagisa ends up defeating him, and there ends up being a part 2 to that, where basically the guy is trying to get revenge on Nagisa and the whole classroom for like embarrassing him, because he's like, I got defeated by this little teenage boy that looks like a freaking girl. I lost my honor. I got this like weird itch thing. I don't know what. But I really like that part 2 episode. A big part of Nagisa's character was the fact that he looked like a girl. And basically his whole past with that is because his mother wanted a girl when she was pregnant with him, but turns out he turned out to be a boy, and she just got all psycho, being like, oh, you're gonna be the girl that I never had. You're gonna grow your hair out really long. And she's like being all weird and psycho about it. It was like really creepy, kind of weird. But in the end, Nagisa ends up standing up for himself and deciding, I'm not a girl, I'm a guy, get away from me, stop that. And I like that. Another one of my favorite characters was Karma. Karma ends up being a new character introduced like, I think a couple episodes after in the series. And in the beginning, we saw that he was like the first person to actually injure the alien, which I think I forgot to mention. The alien's name is Koro Sensei, but he was the first one to actually injure Koro Sensei, because all these other students, they were trying and trying and trying, and they could not do anything towards them because he's like so fast, so like smart and whatever. But for some reason, he ended up being able to hurt him on like the first day. And for like that whole episode, it's just him trying to hurt Koro Sensei, and it doesn't end up working. He ends up losing pretty bad and being all embarrassed. But I really like this character. He's like kind of sadistic, kind of crazy, but very like loyal to people that he likes, and I really like that about him. Okay, this is kind of a confession, but I did ship Karma with Nagisa. I thought they were such a good couple together. I watched like all the AMVs, all the little like fan art music video things of them, and I was like, they make such a good couple. I need them to be a couple in real life. I think that was like one of my first ships that I was actually obsessed with. I just remember being like, ooh, a bad boy, good guy, blue, red. You know what I mean. And if you don't, then this channel is not for you, and you need to get out of here. You need to disappear, and I never want to see you again. I think something that I didn't really like about the series was they made a lot of jokes about Nagisa looking like a girl, and how basically just how I can't talk feminine he looked. And at first I was like, oh yeah, that's anime, that happens sometimes. That's the running joke in a lot of animes. But then you get to the episode where you find out his past and why he like has long hair and is very feminine looking was because of his mom. And then like after that I was like, should we really be making fun of how feminine he looks now after that episode? We got real serious for like one episode, and then we're like, he looks like a girl. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too woke. Maybe I'm being too much. Yeah. I remember there was actually this one guy that mistook Nagisa for a girl, and he like fell in love with him, and he like found out where he went to school and was like, hey, I'm here for you, baby. And they were actually doing like this ramen shop thing for, I think was some type of festival, and they were not doing good. They were like not getting any customers at all. And that guy was actually very rich, so all the other classmates are like, just pretend to be a girl, do it, be like a sugar baby and get all his money, get all his money so that we can win a trip and that we can have fun, and just lie to him for the whole time. But he ends up telling the truth, being like, I'm a guy, and the other guy was like, you're lying, I don't believe you, stop lying to my face. And Nagisa was like, no, I am a guy. Sorry, I'm a guy. It's like, no, you're not a guy. No. But yeah, I remember that episode. There's actually going to be a new movie coming out of Assassination Classroom, which I don't know if it's going to be out by the time I finish editing all this and just posting it, but we'll find out. There was actually a spin-off to Assassination Classroom where they were all like chibis, and it was in like more of a fantasy setting. I remember watching a little bit of that. I don't really remember much about that. It wasn't really that interesting. I mean, it was very entertaining, but it wasn't really anything that mind-blowing. I just kind of got bored of it. I think I remember one thing about them exploring a cave in one of those episodes. I don't really know. I don't think I've actually drawn any fan art of Assassination Classroom. Actually, I don't really draw fan art for a lot of shows that I watch because I end up being like really amazed by the show, and I'm like, I can't do it justice. I can't do these characters justice. I can't draw them right. They're gonna look like garbage compared to the actual show. My skills suck. I should quit art forever. I should go into the woods and never come out. And I just remember that's just like a big problem for me because I get so much inspiration from these shows that I like, and I'm like, oh, I really want to draw this one piece of these characters doing this one thing, and I'm like, I can't. It's not gonna be good. I'm not gonna do it. That's something I really gotta get over with my art. Speaking of my art, I feel like I've really improved a lot from my art when I first started posting on social media to now. I think I really like grew into my art style. I remember like early in my digital art career, I didn't know how to draw what those eye shine things were in like anime, so I ended up just like putting that eye shine like in the outside of the pupil. And I was like, that looks good. I think that's right. I don't know what that thing is, but I see a lot of people in anime do it, so I'm gonna copy that even though I don't know what it is or how to actually do it properly. And so you just see my drawings. There's like this one shiny little ball of white in like the eye, in the white parts of the eyes. And now that I look back on it, I'm like, how did you not realize those were eye shines? Why did you take so long to realize what those actually were and how to actually put it correctly in your style? It was like so. I feel so embarrassed looking back at my old art because I'm like, you really had no idea what anything was. You were just messing around until you figured something out. But now, a couple years later, I like my art style now. I think it looks nice. I think that I got all the parts correct. I don't draw eye shines on the outside of the eyes anymore. I think I still need to study anatomy because while I was drawing this piece, I was like, I don't know how this pose works. I don't know how to draw muscles. I don't know how to render muscles. I'm just messing around until it looks right, which I think a lot of artists do. They just like mess around until they're like, yeah, I think that looks right. I think that's okay. But yeah, I should probably do a video where I study anatomy and rendering and drawing muscles and all that, but that's for another time. Another thing about my art style was I would over render everything. Especially the hair. I was like, I need to render this like so hard completely. I need to make it look like realistic freaking hair, even though I'm doing an anime style and that makes no sense with it. But yeah, and I just look back at my old art, I'm like, that hair is just like on a completely different art style compared to the rest of the piece. But I like the way I shade hair now. I like one of my biggest inspirations when I was like first starting art was by this one art account, Bubbly. I think that's how you pronounce it. I just remember looking at the art. They're like very famous in the 2020 alt art scene or whatever. And I just like saw their art. I'm like, that's good. I need to be like them. I think they actually draw eyes first before like drawing the whole head and doing like any like guidelines, and that's how I learned to draw. It was like drawing eyes first and then just figuring out the whole face shape after that, and I still do that to this day. I think the reason they did that was because they were basically doing pen drawings, and you can't really draw guidelines with a pen drawing because then all the guidelines will still be visible by the time you finish the drawing. But I think it really helped me gain confidence in my art and just like sketching in general because now I don't really do a lot of guidelines when I'm just like doing freehand stuff. I'm just like, okay, here's an eye, let me just shape the head, hair, done, boom. That artist doesn't really post on their TikTok account anymore. I think they have a new one. I'm not really that interested in it. It's a lot, I think, like Lord of the Rings stuff. I'm not a big fan of that. But I still really like their art and still like a big inspiration for me. Another big inspiration for me is Ocean in Space. I really like their art. I really like their whole like shoujo like style. And I really admire them. I admire how they were able to build the whole shop, get all those collabs, get a whole like clothing collab with Doki Doki Literature Club. I think that's kind of something that I'd like to do with my art one day. Something I'd really like to do is maybe design characters for a little indie show, maybe like a comic or something like that. I've actually done some concept sketches for some indie games that haven't come out yet. You've probably seen it on my TikTok. I'm really proud of those, and I really like character design. I really like just looking at the character's personality and just figuring out what they would wear, figuring out if it makes sense in the environment, and just like coming up with new ideas. I think I just love to do character design as a whole for like my whole art career. I feel like I could do some very fun things with it. I feel like I could be very fulfilled with that. But getting getting an art career like full time, that's a lot of work. And I got a lot of stuff going on that I'm not gonna share with you guys because that's my personal stuff. But if anyone watching this video is doing an indie animated show, making a video game, and you need someone to design characters, comment below, and I'll see if I'm free and I can do it for you. Or if you just want your character drawn in like my style, I got my commissions up on a VGen. I got a headshot, a head and bust shot, and I got half body. I think that's about everything that I have to say, and everything I can think of off the top of my head. So I'm just gonna let the rest of this speed paint play out. I think there's only like 2, maybe 1 minute left, so if you like this content, make sure to comment, let me know, and I'll make more of it. If you don't like this content, then comment, say you hate it, and I'll delete your comment. And if you want to see more from me, subscribe.